All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I want to welcome everybody tonight. We are going to have Rashonda Spears and Brent Latin talking about the upcoming virtual production. Before we do that, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Josh Porter. I'm the creative director of Art Space, where the visual component of this exhibit will be happening Friday at 5 o'clock here at Art Space, 710 Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. And I'm going to play a quick video before we get started, and then I'll come back and introduce our speakers for tonight. All right. So once again, my name is Josh Porter, and I'm the creative director for Art Space. And tonight I'm joined by Brent Latin. Brent is the president, CEO of Young Professionals Entertainment, and it's a media marketing and entertainment company located in Shreveport, Louisiana. The company also functions as a professional recording studio where many local and regional artists record. Brent is a talented musician that plays several instruments, and he's performed with various artists across the country. In 2013, Young Professionals Entertainment was named Small Business of the Year by the Shreveport-Bossier African American Chamber of Commerce. As of 2018, Brent brought along another milestone, and he opened Listen and Play School of Music, teaching people how to play the piano by ear. Brent has a bachelor's degree in accounting from Louisiana Tech University and is a member of the 2007 class of C.E. Bird. We also have Rashonda Spears with us. She is our performing artist in resident. She's a multi-talented, award-winning dance artist. She's been moving to her own beat since the age of 5. She has a dance career beginning in West African tap, jazz, ballet, and modern dance in Los Angeles, California. Ms. Spears has performed in various venues, including commercials, plays, musicals, and movies. Since migrating to Shreveport, Louisiana in 2001, Rashonda's career has stayed on point, working in a host of community venues, schools, dance studios, and universities teaching dance. And she is the owner of Shuffling Along, LLC. And both of them will be talking about our upcoming virtual performance show that will take place this Saturday at 7. I'm going to turn it over to them and let you know what they've been working on.
Awesome, Josh. Thank you so much. We're so excited about what we have going on with this project. As you see, Rashonda is especially excited. Oh, and it's been a great but tough journey thus far, and we know it's going to be a little bit tougher, but we're going to come out with some awesome things. As I've done before in the master classes, before the first class, we talked about the art of visualizing what you're looking to produce, and we talked about one of my favorite scriptures is write the vision, make it plain, writing these things down and formulating those ideals that you want to capture and envision for your project, because it always starts with a vision before anything else. It starts with a vision. So that's what we talked about in our first class. So Rashonda, let's just talk about for a second, let's talk about the vision for this project that you conceptualized months ago. Let's talk about that. So
well, I wanted to capture art and the artist in such a way that we could still tell a story and still talk about our history throughout that story, and also try to incorporate what is going on right now. So also making it a timepiece. So capturing our history and bringing in the artists to do that with the songs and the dances and the theater that you will also see, as well as capturing what is literally going on right now. And it is so, I don't want to say funny or ironic, but because of the sign of the times what we're going through right now, it's like full circle, from, back in the 60s when everything was going on back then. So we are coming full circle, and that's what I will, hopefully you will see what we have done, but trying to capture that. I'm always wanting people to get a historical aspect of anything that I do, so that they can get a feel of what is really going on and really, really see or feel that emotionally as I take them through a timeline per se of what is happening and what's going on. So I'm excited. I think everyone is going to be excited too.
Yes, definitely. And we've just met so many people on this journey. One of the things that I did in that first master class was talking about when you're looking to, create something and you have that vision. One of the things that you want to do initially, you want to tell a story. So let's talk about this story that we're telling. We're telling a story, and actually, in all actuality, we're telling so many stories from so many different curves. The first story that we're telling, one of the reasons that this project is what it is because we're telling the story of the arts. So we're starting with the arts, because if we weren't trying to tell the story of the arts, it probably wouldn't fit with the Shreveport Regional Arts Council. So we have to start with the art story. But then after we get to the art story, then it comes for the other piece of it that's just as important, if not more or less important, however way you want to look at it. But we're talking about HBCUs. We're talking about historically Black colleges and universities. So tying it in with the art. So continuing, and I'm just kind of going back with my classes talking about capturing that vision. So after we're telling about the arts, the HBCUs, then we're also telling about the Black culture, about the African American culture, whichever way you want to put it, and talking about how all of those things tie together for our community: the arts, the school, the education that we receive. And then also with telling the story, not only are you telling your story, but Brenda Wimberly is telling her story, and Larry Purnell is telling his story, and Otis Hollingsworth is telling his story. And all the different people that are involved in this project, they're telling their story of the arts. So I'm just excited for people to see, you know, not only the vision that you came up with, but in that vision, how we're going to tell this story that we care about. And then, of course, with any other vision, you have to do some research. So what's some of the research that you and even me, what's some of the research you would say we had to do to make this happen?
Wow. The research is never ending. Look at my eyes, look at my eyes, look at my eyes. So, yeah, the research is never ending, you know, with capturing some of those things. Well, in thinking about the vision, the research came along with it.
Right.
So when, you know, again, we're starting from the top, we're kind of bringing it through. So we have what? African music.
Right.
Okay. So that's a part of it, and where our music has begun. So we start there, and that's history within itself. And then along those lines, while that music is being played, then you will have dance that is related to, as well as some theater things that are related to the struggle, for lack of a better term,
Right.
during slavery. So I'm trying not to tell everything. Look, I don't want everybody to know what we're doing. I want it to be a surprise.
Well, it's all right. It's kind of like when your favorite movie kind of leaks out a little bit, and you know everybody's getting something. So it's fine. They'll still want to actually watch the full feature production.
And then after we move from there, then we kind of move to a civil rights portion per se. So we've moved from Africa through slavery, civil rights, and then current day.
Yes. And with the research, like you say, a lot of the research has kind of in an essence been handed to us, just even today as we are preparing the actual production, looking through some of the pictures, some of the old pictures from both in GSU, and seeing, pictures from the 50s and 60s and 70s. And then even dealing with some of the, especially some of the older people, like Mr. Otis, seeing the letter that he had when he got accepted into Grambling College at that time in 1961. He has a letter from 1961.
And that letter the acceptance was not per se to Grambling. That acceptance was into the GSU marching band.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Because he had to audition for the band.
Right.
So that acceptance letter was actually for the band. Right. And what is so amazing about that man is not only was he in the band, but he was also an artist. So he also had to audition his artwork. Right. They told him to draw a piece, and he said he was a little presumptuous, and he went on ahead and drew a sketch of a face of someone. And he was nervous because he said, I probably should have just drew a flower. He said, because he did not think that sketch he had done of that, it was a man he drew. He didn't think that it was really good enough.
Right.
But he also got into the art department. So he had to audition for both of those areas at Grambling College at the time. So saying that to say, I love it that they were auditioning back then. Right. And that should continue.
Right.
Exactly. It should continue in every area. But he is so awesome. He has several patents. One of his patents is the bow. I guess I'm saying that right. Is that correct? The bow, yes. Like a bow and arrow.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So anyone who wants to update the bow just in order to make those bow and arrow.
Right. And you were
bomb.com.
breaking up just a little bit, but what she was saying, that one of the artists that's also a musician, that's also an educator, he also holds a patent for something that a lot of us has probably either seen or used. So I think you're back good now, but they just missed that a little bit. They had to catch that, so I wanted to cover you on that one.
Okay. So the bow, it's a bow and arrow.
That's
Is that
correct.
correct, Brent?
That's
And anytime anyone wants to go in and possibly make that better or add something or whatever to it, they have to go through him in order to do that.
right. Exactly. So that's just the visionary part of idealizing this awesome production. Then in my second master class, Rashonda, what I talked about was the pre-production part. So in the pre-production part, pretty much that's when we're mapping out everything. That's when we're sketching out what we want the production to look out. That's when we're kind of fine tuning who do we want to do what music goes where, what's the official budget that we're looking at, all of those different tactics. So let's just talk about the pre-production that we had to do. One of the biggest things that we had to do was find out who was going to be a part of the production. So tell us just about that process that we went through. It wasn't an easy process at all. And communicating back and forth and this and that wasn't easy, but let's just talk about that pre-production process that we had to experience.
Pre-production was the hardest thing ever. I think that's probably the hardest thing in putting this production together. It was the hardest because you're dealing, of course, with people. And so a lot of times, people aren't meeting deadlines, or they're sending information, but it's not complete, so you spend most of your time going back and forth, trying to get information from them, trying to ensure that they meet deadlines, because if you don't meet the deadlines, something is going to be left behind and we have to wait. So I think that was the hardest, because we had so many different deadlines because we were having introduction, seeing who wanted to participate, and try to get them to get things in a timely fashion was the hardest ever. I think myself and Brent, we were probably the most frustrated with that. The phone calls, the emails, the text messages. And for those of you who know me, I do all of them. So if you're not responding, I'm going to text you and then probably call you too. So that was a lot of time. I think we needed a secretary for this particular project. Seriously, like I needed someone like a personal secretary to do all of that, because in the midst of that, I'm working on my workshops.
Right.
So I'm trying to make sure that I'm twice a week, those are on point, making sure. So it was just a lot of work in post-production and trying to get everything finalized with everyone. I know we're busy, because a lot of us we're busy, but that was difficult. That was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. And even in the pre-production part, that's when, you go in, and once you decide those people, then, we have to actually go in and book accommodations. We have to say, well, look, let's plan our filming days. Let's send you this script, or this is, so let's even talk about that. What do we have to do to prepare? Because we have, in this type of production, it's multifaceted. There are all of the art forms are showcased. So not only that we have to send music for musicians and for singers and for rappers as well. So we have to send music for them. But then for the dancers, we had to send music and choreography for them. But then for the spoken word or the theatrical talent that we had, or have rather, we've had to send their different scripts or poems or the different inserts that they're going to have. And then also for this production, we had interviewees as well. So we had that component of having to send out different, questions that we needed from each of the people that we were interviewing. So Leo, let's talk a little bit about that, because that's a lot of times when people are doing productions, if they're doing a documentary, for the most part, from that standpoint of what do I have to send out, they're going to send out the questions. They're going to get everything arranged for the different interviewees. If it's a film or a full feature film, then most time you're more on the lines of an actual script and having different talent that will be reenacting parts. But in essence, this production had a little bit of everything in it. So let's talk about that.
So of course, I had to listen to music, and what I wanted to do was capture the alum who already had produced music. So I had to listen to tons of music, and also had to literally tell someone, envision to someone, say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Can you do this? And she did it. Literally wrote and recorded a piece of music that you all will hear in this production in 2 days. Okay, so that was the bomb.com. And so also, and then, okay, so then getting those materials together. So also with my theater people, I researched some poems that we will be using as well. Okay, so I had to figure out, okay, these were the ones that I wanted to use. I didn't choose it for them when we had our individual meetings, because we had meetings. I had meetings with each of my groups, my musicians, vocalists, dancers, and theater people. So in those meetings, this is what we have, guys.
Let me interrupt you. Remind everybody we're still in COVID. So what type of meetings were these meetings?
Virtual. They were Zoom. We were not meeting in person. They were all Zoom. So meeting them on Zoom, saying, hey, and not even giving them the full picture of the production, just saying, this is your part, pick your part, and then, be ready by this date. So everyone really had like 2 weeks to learn their material. Some people had a little longer, but for the most part, everybody had 2 weeks. They got the material, and it had to be, they had to hit it. Because a lot of people we flew in, some people we had to go to, and then some people who were local had to come and record. So they had to know it, and hey, you're professional, that's what you do. So those type of things were, like, okay, guys. And even though, and it's so funny, because one artist said, I feel so bad because you're doing me like I do other people when they're not prepared. Because she wasn't prepared. And so, I'm a slave driver. So I'm like, do it again. Do it again. Do you need a few minutes to go in the corner and work on it? We'll give you some time. We can record someone else while you're working. That type of thing. Because, at the end of the day, and for me, it has to be right. And that's the way I was taught. It has to be right. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. And so Brent laughs at me all the time. He'll turn his head and give me this little look, and I look at him like, I don't care. We're gonna do it again. But yeah, so that was the reality of it. Basically, getting their material. They had 2 weeks to get it together. They either had to come to us, which we did a lot of our recording for our local artists at Art Space or Central Art Station. So a lot of the footage that you'll see, it will be from either one of those spaces locally. And even for some of the artists we flew in, we recorded them at either of those spaces. And I laugh at Brent because we were putting a schedule together. This was, I think, the second set of recordings we were doing. So he kept saying, well, what time? I said, Brent, I don't know what time. I can tell you 7, but it may be 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't know, because what happens? You have to do so many takes over. And certain things just take a while. We have to get certain angles because I'm like, okay, let's do this over here, but wait a minute, let's go back up here and let's do another. So I'm looking at the space that we have and trying to make it as creative as I can just with one artist. We're not even talking about everybody. I'm talking about a dancer. So if I wanted that same piece to be recorded, you may see somebody coming down the stage. The type of things to say. And Brent's out one Sunday evening because we didn't get out of there till after 12 a.m. But that is the nature of the work, and it has to be right, at the end of the day, so that we can give off a great, we didn't want it to look like, oh, they just recorded that at their house. Somebody, had a phone and just recorded them, and then now we're trying to piece it together. No, sir, no, ma'am. And even those that we will get, you'll see how we'll put those together as well. But for the most part, it was a lot of work, a lot of time. And what I think, this is funny, because what I believe now, after we have finished recording and doing everything that we did, Brent, that a lot of people didn't really understand the caliber of work. That's what I'm thinking. They wanted to do it, they were part of it, and then when they realized, oh, this is for real, the real deal Holyfield, like, she's not playing, like, this is really like the real thing. And so being in the midst of that and seeing the work, the long hours, and let's do that again, and let's take it from this angle. And I'm talking specifically with the artist. Can you say that again and say it in such a way? So yeah, it was very tedious. I was very tedious with our artists, and they love me for it.
Awesome. Yeah. Like you said, it is a process, and that kind of carries us to what we talked about last week, was just the production, more of the technical side of the production process. So from the standpoint of, look, we have to get the right angles. We have to have the right lighting that we want for that specific shot. We have to make sure that the audio is right. Make sure that we have very good and clear audio. We want to make sure that, we capture the wide shots to show the essence of what the artist is doing. But then we want to capture some of the close shots to kind of bring you in and show the different emotional and all those different types of things. So yeah, it definitely takes time, and sometimes to even set up the shot like you want to may take 15 or 20 minutes just to get the right lighting or the right look for what we're really looking to do. So the production process, especially the production process when you're actually shooting with the artist or shooting with the talent, is something that can be very what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it, but it's very technical and very specific, and sometimes detail. Yeah, lots of detail. So that's something that we definitely experience in all of the shoots. And like she said, even you even have to kind of pull something together when you have this type of project, and the demand for it, and the travel, and the long shooting days, and the long travel. But you still want to make sure that you achieve that detail. So now we're on what we call the post-production end. So that's where we are now, and putting everything together. I was thinking earlier today, all this is a huge puzzle that we're putting together. You got a huge puzzle putting it together, but it's not one of the puzzles with the big pieces. It's a whole lot of different tiny pieces. So sometimes when it looks like a piece fits there, it may not fit there. It may fit somewhere else. And on the production end, it's just so much that is entailed with their with that. So let's just talk about that, or even let's just talk about the meetings that we had, just to prepare for production.
Well, the meeting we had today was great because, we met about the same thing, like probably 4 other times, but because this was the final, and then it was like, okay, so on this music, all of this needs to be happening. And we'll need this flying in, this going here, blah, 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 blah. And then you go to the next section, and the same thing. And then you go to the final section. So you're working, like he said, those pieces to the puzzle, and then you're trying to figure out, okay, what will go here, what will go here. I hate that I did not record you today doing your little African piece you were trying to do today. Brent was trying to dance. Look, he was trying to dance today when I was talking about, how that first section will work. And he said, okay, and this is what you're saying. So he was trying to demonstrate what I was saying. And it was so good. It was so funny. I loved it. But yes, putting those pieces together and literally saying, okay, we have this footage, we have this footage, we have this footage. And we need to figure out how we're going to work that and bring that down, because I think most of the day was just downloading everything, trying to get all the pictures and all the video and getting all of that downloaded. So when we come back tomorrow, which we're going to be tired, now we're going to start plugging.
Right. Yeah. So that's a part of that production process. And the crazy thing about it, just kind of correlating with the first class that I had about writing the vision and putting what you want to put out there. When we were doing our notes for just the entire production, it actually aligned. I'm not going to say perfectly, but it aligned with what we talked about in the visionary stage. I mean, it aligned very well. So that just shows that shows you that visionary stage is very important, because you want to make sure that those things are aligning and that they're coming together. And then on Saturday, we will see the actual culmination of it. And then also in the production process, as we've done so many times, there may be some minor adjustments to some things or different things like that. So it's a lot of flexibility, but you still want to have that structure. You want to have that roadmap to where you're saying, okay, look, this is the foundation. Now we're going to build the house off of this foundation. We might not decide to put a wall there. We might change the paint color there. We might not do crown molding there, but we do have a foundation and a basis for everything. So that's one of the big things in the video production process. And of course, next week, when we do our class next week, we'll even have some more tidbits for you. But I wanted to, let me pull it up. I wanted to play just a little bit of that B-roll footage that we had for the interview, just a little bit of it. Let me pull it up real quick.
Which one?
The one that we sent to the television station.
Okay, cool.
Just wanted to play just a couple of those clips. I had it pulled up, but let me pull it up again to just show everybody just kind of what we're looking like. When we had to send this to the station, this was last week, and just looking at this was inspiring, because we know that it's going to be 100 times better than this, because this is just a few shots that we had. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if what's going on here.
And I laughed at Brent because he was like, I sent it to you. I thought you were going to call me yelling. Because I do that a lot too.
Oh, yeah.
I yell a lot.
But like fun yelling,
so,
y'all.
Yeah, fun yelling. So when I didn't call him, he texted me. He was like, did you see it? Did you see it? And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. So funny. So he knows me so well.
It may not play. Hold on. Let's see here. We're going to figure this out.
Is it going to play? Is it going to act funny?
I don't know. It's just a Google Drive thing. Hold on. Let's see here. And I have really good internet here at my house. So I know it's not the internet. Comcast is very blessed because, okay, there we go. Just had to refresh it. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. So y'all just kind of look. No, there's no audio, so it's just video. Just video. Those are some shots of Brenda Wimmerly that we're just super excited about. One of the awesome vocalists here in our area. That's Mr. Vincent Williams. And I'm looking at this, just getting even more excited. You know.
Me too. I can't wait.
Yeah. And that's one of our out-of-town artists in Las Vegas.
Sky D Miles.
Sky D Miles, another artist out of Atlanta. I'm sorry, Hampton, Virginia. Grambling State University.
Yes, Virginia.
Yeah, Willie. And that is the other lead man, Eric Francis, visual artist. A little bit of his and these interviews. I mean, they're just going to be amazing just to hear the stories behind all of these talented people. I mean, it's just. All right, that's enough because I'm. Oh, that's another good. Okay, that's enough. I'm gonna let that go. So that was just a little sneak preview of what's going to be going on Saturday. This Saturday, the 24th at 7 p.m. Facebook Live, YouTube Live, from the Shreveport Regional Arts Council page. Also Sunday at 2 p.m. for an encore presentation on both of those social media pages. So we're just like I say, we're very excited. I don't know how many times I've said that. But let's talk about this, Rashawn, just real quick, just on the production end. Just some of the relationships that we formed just with some of the talented artists from Suzzla and GSU. Let's just talk about that.
Wow. Like a number of the people I already knew. Some of the people I did not know, and those that I did not know, oh my God. So we're going to go back to Otis Hollingsworth out of Fort Worth. Okay, so amazing. His family was there when we were getting footage and recording, and his daughter is interested in screenwriting. She wants to write for like sitcoms and things of that nature. So I made a great connection with her. And, just told her if she needed anything, just let me know, and his daughter was so sweet. They, oh my God, I just can't even express it enough about the people. Also, and this was so funny last night. So one of my sorority sisters, one of the this is so crazy because my mom never told me that her
mom. Go ahead and say that again because you broke up, and this is a great story, so I want to make sure everybody catches it.
Okay, that so last night when we were recording, one of the artists we flew in from Grambling alum, her mom is my sorority sister, and so all this time, even through the phone conversations, emails, text messages, she never said, my mom, blah, 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 blah. So we're going through everything. She's recorded all her stuff. I recorded my stuff. We're done. And so I go up because she wanted to go to Grambling because she needed to go there to do some things. So I was like, okay, so what are you doing, sweetie? Da, 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 da. And she said, my mom told me to tell you hello. And I was like, well, who's your mom? And she said, Red Summer, and like tears just were forming in my eyes. Cause I'm like, why didn't you tell me like all of this time? So of course I get into my mama mode. Where's my belt? You should have told me, blah, 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 blah. And so now I'm talking to her. Her mother's on the phone. I'm like, oh my God. I said, she's so talented. I just can't back and forth. And she said, well, I didn't want anything, I just kind of wanted to be on my own merit because my mother told me that, you would have been really hard. Yes, I would have been extra harder on you because of your mother. That just blew me away. Brent was laughing at me because he says I'm a crybaby, and I cry. I've been crying on this project like every time we've been recording things. But that for me was so like, and this young lady, guys, when you see her, oh my goodness.
Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah.
She is, I mean, anything, if I said, okay, jump off of this and leap, she would have done it. That's how amazing she is.
Yeah.
Like, any correction I gave her, okay, I said, and when I was giving her direction in certain areas where I want her to move, and then, you know, blocking her spacing and all of that, one time, love her so much. One time, she was watching, she's like, oh, so you want me to turn like that? Okay. Love her, love working with her. She is totally amazing, totally.
And she actually just, I forgot what she said, 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, somewhere around there. But she was a part of a project that's going to be on one of those kind of investigation stations where she'll be reenacting I forgot what the talent, but it's kind of like one of those kind of not murder mysteries, but one of those investigation ID where she'll be one of the people that doing some reenactment acting. So she's doing some awesome things. There's so many other people. We went to Baton Rouge on Friday. Dr. Ava Turner, and she's running a whole. Not only does she have her own black box studio, she also actually owns a commercial location where she houses 20 tenants, and a lot of those tenants are of the arts, but then she just houses some other things too. So not only is she thriving in the artistic lane, but she's thriving in the business lane. And that's one of the things that we've been talking about a lot, how the arts really correlate a lot directly with business. Of course, I understand that. I've been a musician my entire life, and then transitioned over to visual production when I was probably about in middle school or so, and been kind of working with that ever since now. But understanding that business end and the artistic end is definitely a great trait to have. So yeah, Dr. Turner, and I know that you knew Dr. Turner a little bit before, right?
Yes, because Dr. Turner has been here to do come to see plays, you know, because I choreograph for Angelique, so she's been here with Mahogany Ensemble Theater on some things, and she's gotten awards and stuff in this area that from the Southern Black Theater Festival. So I knew Dr. Turner prior to going to see her, but me and Brent were like, okay, how can we make this happen in Shreveport for us with the Mecca business thing she had going on? We were so like excited, right? And she did not want us to leave. It was so funny. She was like, okay, let's go get dinner. She wanted us to stay. Of course, Brent's eyes were bulging out again because he's tired. But we had a great time with her. And she, you know, in Brent's words, was so hospitable. Like, if I see her again, she would probably tell me to come on and stay the night, you know. But we had a great time just learning, you know, because I love listening to people and listening to their stories and just learning from her. You know, she's a great lady, you know, she's a great lady and a great person to just talk to and to get information from. And what I so love about her, she does not mind sharing. Some people are so selfish, they don't want to share. She shares, and that is a great trait to have. She does not mind collaborating. I love that because that's what I do. So she does not mind collaborating. She's open to working with different groups of people. She also was talking about something she was going to be doing pre-COVID. Of course, that did not happen. And she was going to ask me to come down. She said, you never knew about it, but it just never happened because of COVID. So I mean, amazing lady, always wanting to support, always wanting to help, and always especially Grambling Night. She loves Grambling, you know, alumni and people, you know, that go to Grambling. So that's another great thing. So we've had a great time. Also, I wanted to say, Brent, that, you know, a lot of times, and I don't know because, well, no, we've worked before, so I can't say that, but because of the relationship that myself and Brent have, it's easier to work with him because he already knows me. He knows my nuances. He knows, you know, my looks, like, no, that's not gonna work. He knows when I'm going back and forth. He's like, well, Shonda, we got to make this work production wise. And I said, I know, but we'll make it work. Just make it work for what I want to see. You know, so he knows me, he knows, you know, so because of the close relationship we've already had, because Brent, you've been working on projects with me for like the last 7 years. So, you know, he's done a lot of work with my family. And laughing because back in the day he used to say, you're the only one of my clients that wants to sit and look at this thing from start to finish, because I'm very detail oriented. I already know what I kind of want, you know. And just like I told him, I said, well, most of your clients just, you know, want you to put something together. And they go, oh, okay. Because, you know, they're, you know, they just want, you know, do your job, put it together. But because of my background, because I am a mass communication graduate, and I've worked in production and I've done those things before, I kind of have an eye for those kind of things anyway. And so, especially with dance, because Brent, certain shots, and I'm talking about in the past, so certain shots, you know, and I would be like, Brent, you need to open up. Okay, you see where that leap was? Now that right there, capture that shot, you know, because he was always trying to capture everything so close up and impersonal. And I understand now, because we're doing this production, why that is important. But in some of my other things, I was trying to let him see some of the things that are eye-catching for people to see as well. So because of our relationship, I think this project is, you know, going to be even more greater because of the great relationship that we have. And you know, I really do appreciate you for, you know, putting up with me.
Yeah. And likewise, and I tell everybody, you know, one thing that, and this is just for life, but definitely in production, you always have to be willing to learn and to understand the points and the interest, especially when it's somebody field. Rashonda has been doing dance for a long time. I almost said longer than I've been alive, but I ain't want to put you out like that. Which
you always do. I don't know why.
And I'm 31 years old, and she's been dancing since she's 1, because she's 32. But no, she's been doing this for a while, so that was a learning point for me. And we were talking about years ago that, you know, I didn't understand. I'm more from the film background. Look, we want the tight shots, but you know, she's been doing dance a long time. She's done a lot of production, so she knows that dancers want to see at times they want to see the full effect. So one thing about being in production, you always have to be malleable. You know, of course, know what the professional end is and know what you need to do, but also learn and take different creative perspectives and different creative understandings, especially when somebody's been doing something for a long time. So it's definitely been a pleasure working with you as well. And I tell people all the time, I know a lot about what I do, but I don't know everything. So I take everything as a learning opportunity, not only on the creative end or on, you know, the end of understanding what we're putting out there, but even on the production end. So that's awesome. Well, look, y'all, we're going to go ahead and end because we got some long nights ahead of us. So we look forward to getting back with you all next Monday for a recap on this weekend that we're just so excited about. We know it's going to be phenomenal. And this is, you know, I don't, like you said, a lot of people, I don't know if they understand the scope of this project and what this is not only doing for the arts, not only doing for HBCUs, not only doing for Suzzla, Grambling, and the artists, but this is something on a large scale that we're just excited about, and it's going to do a lot. So Josh, take it from there, because you see, we can talk the rest of the night.
Well, thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. I'm looking forward to the full production on Saturday. So just a quick reminder for everybody, Friday, 5:30, 708 Texas Street Art Space is the visual component of this exhibition. And then Saturday at 7 is the premiere of Brent and Rashonda's great work. And then at 2 p.m. on Sunday, we'll have an encore showing of the performance part of this entire project. So, Rashonda, Brent, thank you again. Look forward to talking to you next week and look forward to seeing your work Saturday.
Thank you, Josh.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.